Hello, this video is going to be helpful in learning how to format your paper in MLA format. Now, in high school, if you wrote papers, and for some of you it may have been years since you've been in high school and have written an essay, but most likely if you wrote a research paper in high school, you probably wrote it in MLA format. The two formats that we typically work with in college are MLA and APA. When you get into English 101, your instructor will teach you some things about APA and you'll write your papers in APA. And the reason we do that is because we want you to get accustomed to writing in both formats. In classes that are not English, like if you have to write a research paper in biology or in history classes, you will most likely write those in APA format. So in English 101, you'll learn how to do that. All of my students who have ever written in both formats completely agree that MLA of the two is a lot simpler, a lot easier to use. So we're going to start out learning MLA. MLA is my preferred mode of writing a research paper anyway. Now what we're writing is not a research paper, but even the essays that we write this year, we want to go ahead and put those in MLA format so that we have that experience. We know kind of what goes at the top, how to format it, what we're looking for. So I've already, this is not a full essay. This is just my example introduction that I had in the presentation this week on narrative writing, but I went ahead and copied and pasted it here so you could see my document start to take shape. So when you open up, and if you have Word on your desktop, you have an app you can open up. Honestly, that's probably the easiest way to start this document rather than using Office 365. But if you don't have that, Office 365, we've already talked about this semester is free for you because you're a student at Northeast. And I will post a separate video on how to start a document in MLA format through Office 365. But this is what I started from my Word application on my desktop. Yours may look a little bit different depending on what type of computer you use and what version of Word you have. Mine is technically Word Online, even though it's my desktop app. So once again, yours may or may not look exactly like mine. So when I open up Word, I will click on blank document and that will get me to here. From here, the first thing I would do if this were a blank document, I would double click at the top of my document to get my cursor, this where I type, into my header. Okay, from there, what I need to do for MLA is I need to insert a page number. APA also calls for page numbers without the last name. So I'm going to go to insert and all the way over to page number. I want it at the top of the page and I want plate number 3 because I want it on the right side. I've already inserted mine, so I'm not going to click. Okay, that will give me a page number and all I have to do is type my last name and a space between my last name and the page number and click out of my header. Double click in the body of my paper. That puts my page number and my last name, and any subsequent pages, it will also print my last name and the page number. If you just type a 1 here, a 1 will be on all of your pages rather than it numbering. And we're writing a brief essay, so probably 2 to 3 pages. That page number doesn't matter as much, but if you were writing a really lengthy research paper that was, say, 15, 20 pages, that page number would be pretty important. Okay, from there, I'm going to go to the top of my document, type in my name, the name of the course, the name of the instructor, and it's always something to think about how to address your instructor on your paper. If you have an instructor who is a doctor, who has a doctorate degree, you would always either call them Professor Leah Barnett or Dr. Leah Barnett. I am not. So you can refer to me as Mrs. So I am married. If you didn't know if I was married, you would do MS, okay? Or you could call me Professor Leah Barnett. It's not going to offend any of your instructors to call them Professor, okay? And then this is the date. In MLA, the date is written in a funny format. It has the day, the month, and the year, and always list the date as the date that your assignment's due. Okay, from there, I hit enter twice, and I'm going to type in my title. Now, we didn't talk much in the last video, and I told you one thing that's funny. In the last video, I told you I was not going to read the whole sample essay to you, and then I read the whole sample essay to you, but I forgot to talk about the title. So the title of your essay, you need something catchy. The title of the sample essay was Shots Fired in Stall Number 5, and that was catchy. That made us wonder what was going to happen in the narrative essay. That was almost a lead-in in itself. Mr. Halls, who taught ENR 098 before I did, he had a student one time write a narrative essay, and this is pretty chilling to think about, but about his older brother who had murdered his younger brother. That was something that actually happened, that he actually went through. And so his title, and this almost gives me chills to think about, was My Brother's Name is Cain. Now, his brother's name was not Cain, but he is referring to or alluding to that story in the Bible of the first murder that took place on earth, and it was when Cain killed his brother Abel. So that was a very catchy, very clever, chilling, attention-grabbing title. So really put some thought into your title. I could probably put more thought into mine, but my example is about moving to a different town, so I just put lessons in moving, because one of my main points is what I learn about myself through that move. Okay, you may be wondering, what about font? What about spacing? And that's what I'm going to get to right now. So I'm going to click back on home, and I'm going to show you how I got this spaced. So anytime you write anything in college, we want to double space it. There's no writing assignment you're going to turn in unless your professor states otherwise, and I doubt he or she will, that doesn't need to be double spaced. That gives you more space to look at your words on paper and really take in what you've said without it being jumbled, and it definitely gives your professor space to grade your work. So when you have typed your information up here, follow along. If you are using Word on a desktop, most likely you can hold down Control and press A and Control and press 2, and that will double space it for you. But if you have a funky version of Word, or you're on Office 365, you have to go through the long way. So what you'll do, highlight everything if you have much text at all. You can also do this before you ever start, and usually it will respect that and keep your settings, but sometimes it will revert back and you have to do it again. So it can be a headache sometimes, but you need to highlight all of your information, and your font always needs to be Times New Roman. Font size is 12. Okay, and this is how you do your spacing. Click on layout. And one thing you need to make sure that you do, most of the time this after line spacing is set at 8 as a default. You need to change that to 0. That will mess up some of your spacing if you don't change that. I've already changed it on mine. Then click on this arrow. This gives us the option of spacing. We don't mess with anything but line spacing, and it's probably on multiple. You'll change that to double. Hit OK, and all your spacing should be correct. If you have any trouble with this, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you. But your paper is now in MLA format, and that's pretty simple. Make sure that this is left aligned, your paper's left aligned, you tabbed each time you started a new paragraph, and your title is center aligned. Nothing's bolded. I know that I bolded the thesis statement. That was just for emphasis. You will not do that in your paper. Okay, as always, email me with any questions.